How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to the channel. This is going to be the very first episode of questioning and answers. So how this is going to work is these questions were asked a couple weeks back on a post that I made, and I'm going to be answering them here today. Now, the questions for the next episode are going to be, asked in this video in a comment section down below. So whatever questions you have, ask them down below, and I'll try to answer a couple for the very next video and so forth. On that video, you guys can ask questions in the comments and and I'll answer those in the following video and etc. So very first question was, have there been any TLX Type S transmission issues? And there have been some. There's been 2 or 3 trans replacements, and one in particular, I'm actually in contact with the guy. He's on one of the Facebook group chats or Instagram group chats that I'm in, and he had his trans replaced, his rear diff replaced, and he has an ongoing issue. From my perspective and my understanding, I seem to think there might be some sort of electrical issue, some sort of a pin fit or something like that. They have been relatively solid. The 10 AT has been great in the Acura platform, pushing nearly double the horsepower that it was designed for. And as you may or may not know, the TLX transmission is beefed up. The TLX Type S and MDX Type S is beefed up from the Accord trans. So it should be able to handle more power, although it is all-wheel drive and it is heavier. So by default, there is more stress on a trans. So yeah, that's that. So like I said, couple cases. One, the guy's still having issues. The other one, they seem to have failed relatively early. Surprisingly enough, they are all on stock cars. So all the cars that have been modified or tuned or JB4, whatever case may be, they all seem to be fine. There is kind of a known issue with the 2-3 shift on super cold ambient temperatures before the trans is warmed up, and extremely cold temperatures like -30 or 0 degrees Celsius, something like that. But yeah, other than that, they have been great, and mine has been great. No issues. I did change the fluid on mine at 15,000 miles. So, and it wasn't dark or anything like that. I just wanted to get a feel for it. And I think going forward, that's going to be my recommended suggestion, especially if the car is tuned. And obviously, that's something you want to stay on top of. All right, so another question was, is there some maintenance that we recommend at the dealer that the car may not need? And sometimes, yes, that's the case. This is going to be dealer by dealer, or even tech by tech, or writer by service advisor. So in my case, I try not to recommend anything that I feel like really isn't needed. Obviously a lot of that is opinionated, and there is some data that suggests that you should or shouldn't do or whatnot. But yes, some dealers will try to take advantage of you. So make sure you try and find a dealer that you're comfortable with. Things that you do need for sure, and should be either doing on time or aggressively, is fluids. I'm super big on fluids, doing them early, especially once again, if the car is modified, or if you know that you're driving it hard or extreme conditions, weather conditions. Be honest with yourself. If you're driving the car hard, then you're going to be needing these fluids earlier than the recommended suggestion or what Honda recommends. So I can make a video on my exact recommendations on that in a separate video. If you guys would like, drop me a comment down below and I will address that. But yes, sometimes there's stuff that dealers recommend that's really not needed. And other times, if like express hooks at the car, they might miss some stuff that the car needs and they just overlooked, and that gets tricky. Sometimes we're busy, stuff like that happens. So, but yeah, stuff like that does happen. Just build a good relationship with your dealer, or even if it's a private shop, and just make sure you're comfortable with that owner or technician or service advisor, and you communicate with him your concerns. And if you really feel like the car doesn't need something, or you can even do it yourself, then so be it. I'm all for DIY and stuff like that. So another big question that we are getting, or I'm getting personally, is Honda's L15 or 1.5T and any suggested tips. I'm actually going to be working on a video right after this. So you might see it maybe a couple days after this video or a week or two afterwards. And there's a ton of information that I feel like is important. And again, it's from my perspective and what I see and my opinion. A lot of people don't share that opinion with me, but a lot of engine builders, tuners, and techs across the nation and even Canada. I talk to a lot of guys, a lot of techs, and we all share kind of the same opinion. Some guys don't. Some people have never had issues, so they think it's a non-issue, and that I'm making all this stuff up, which is fine. You don't have to agree with everything I say, but everything I speak of is from experience. So just quick notes: if you do have an Accord 1.5T 2018 and up, a CRV or a Civic, or even a new Integra, a couple things you could do. Make sure you use a 91 or better octane fuel, and make sure your technician is checking and topping off your coolant levels at every oil change. Once it starts consuming an excessive amount of coolant, meaning you go through the reservoir and you have to top it off multiple times between an oil change, something already is going on. But to be proactively, use 91 octane or better fuel. If you have 93 in your area, use 93, and just make sure your coolant levels in your reservoir are topped off. Make sure you're not messing with the radiator too much. If you do open a radiator cap because your reservoir was completely empty, then it's probably too late for you at that point. But make sure the engine is cold, and make sure you open up the cap with a rag. You don't want to get burst with a lot of pressure and, obviously get burnt, get coolant in your eyes or anything like that. So another question I get a lot of, Acura TLX puddle lights. And funny enough, this question was asked before I figured out that the Honda Pilot 2023 puddle lights fit in the mirrors. So I have upgraded to those recently, and they've been on there about 5 weeks or so. We have probably a good 10 sets or so out in the road right now, and from my knowledge, they are all still working. I did have one guy commenting that his 23 Pilots already needed 2 sets, which is I'm kind of sketchy about because they are on back order. So I don't know if this guy really knows what he's talking about, but from what I understand, the ones that have been installed, either installed by me, or purchased it, installed by other people from the 23 Pilot on the TLX are all still working. And once again, I said about 10 sets or so. Funny enough, this is the same part number that we use on the running boards for the ridge lines and some of the Pilots. And those originally do go out. So that is the Pilot, original Pilot and original TLX bulbs and the ridge line. The 23 Pilot is a new part number. The bulb is bright white versus warm white, and so far so good. So that is that. But if you have a TLX, you know that this is a common issue. They fail. Mine have failed within same night. I think I brought it home. The driver's side was out and the passenger side was flickering already. It's something like that. So they didn't work for a year and a half, but I was okay with it because as long as they weren't flickering and just looking silly, I was okay with it until something more, something else that we could try. So, so far so good. I'll keep you guys updated. If they do fail, then obviously I'll update you guys on here. I'll make it short or something like that. So somebody had asked, how reliable is the Honda J-Series engine? J-Series goes back many, many years, and they've been very, very reliable with the exception of the first gen TLX. So I had the second gen TLX, which is kind of a new setup. The block is a little bit different, got a little bit more reinforcement, and the heads are different. But overall, the J-Series has been one of the Honda's best engines ever. And like I said, with the exception of the first gen TLX, they seem to throw a lot of rod bearings and spin a lot of bearings and throw a lot of rods for whatever reason that may be. Unfortunately, I don't work on the Acura side, so I don't really see that on my end, but I do know that it is a thing. But if you do have a J-Series, whether it's Odyssey, Pilot, TLX, MDX, anything like that, Cross Tour, they are very reliable. They have some issues. The time belt tensions wear prematurely on the older models, and some of the VCM solenoids leak on the alternators and stuff like that. But relatively super reliable engine. They go many, many miles without causing you a lot of money or anything like that. They do leak some oils and stuff like that, but you don't even have to address that. If you just wanted to drive it until it stopped, the engine most likely won't even end up stopping on you. So very reliable. One of the, like I said, again, one of the best engines that Honda ever built. So this is the final question for this episode. And once again, guys, if you guys want to ask a question for the next episode, you're going to be doing it in the comment section on this video. And I'll pick up a few questions, 5, 6 questions or so, and address them in the next video. So the last question is, how do I like the 9AT versus the 10AT that we have? And the 9-speed, a lot of people complain about it, the ZF Trans. It's not made by Honda. And on the Acura side, the guys seem to have a lot of trouble with them. Personally, I think it's a better trans than Honda's 6-speed automatic transmission. But once again, the Acura guys don't really like them. I personally have 19 Pilot with the 9-speed ZF transmission, and not that I love it, but I don't have any complaints. So, and we don't see any of them at Honda. We've done maybe 2 or 3 of them. Now the 6 speeds, we have a lot of issues with the juddering and stuff like that. A lot of torque converter failures, and they burn quickly, super quick. In comparison to this 10-speed, the 10-speed, from what we know so far, is a very good transmission, right? From the Acura, a lot of guys are pushing over 500 horsepower, and they've been very reliable. So now we see them in the Odysseys, and we are seeing them in the TLX, MDX, RDX, and the new Pilots. So far so good. I do have a new Pilot that needs something internally. I can't remember exactly what it is. The part's on back order, and I diagnosed it like 6 weeks ago or so. But that is a brand new 23 Pilot. So when I figure out exactly what it was again and I repaired, I plan on doing a short or something like that just on. But we have a whole bunch of Pilots out on the road, and they seem very good. Once again, the TLX Type S, there has been 2 or 3 failed transmissions, with one with the ongoing issues. But these stuff happen, especially when the cars are brand new, and for whatever reason, maybe something's not torqued correctly inside, something comes apart, or whatever the case may be, some sort of manufacturing defect. But from as far as the numbers out there and what we see so far, the 10AT should be superior to the 9-speed that Honda offers, not made by them. Either way, I'm okay with either trans. Like I said, the Acura guys seem to not like the 9-speed. I think the 6-speed personally is more of a problem transmission, but they did come on a lower trim, so we saw a lot more of them earlier, and they came in on a lot different cars versus just being on the Pilot and MDX and stuff like that. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Hope I answered a couple different questions and was as descriptive as possible. Like I said, stay tuned for that 1.5T head gasket blowing video. I have a couple different thoughts on that, and I know it's going to stir the pot a little bit, but I feel like if you're in the market for that car, you should be well informed, and then you make the decision if you want to take the risk or not. And maybe Honda someday will decide to address something. Sometimes they dismiss stuff, and then later down the road, they own up to it. And, I can't say what they think or what they're doing, but I know we have seen a big surge in them, and we're doing a lot of them at work. So with that being said, guys, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned for all the videos I'll be putting out throughout the week, as well as some Q&A just like this one.